Recording in progress.
Okay, I'm going to call this special meeting of the Ordinance Subcommittee to order. And may we have a roll call, please? Present.
Present. Here.
Present.
Okay. So what we have on the agenda is a discussion and possible action concerning a proposed modification of the ordinance concerning property tax relief for certain elderly homeowners. And what we have in front of us is the proposed ordinance. We met last time discussing this and revising it and making this more consistent with, I think, with the uniform state
Correct.
requirements. And also, we wanted to ensure that our residents are not getting relief that is less than what they currently could get. And I'll let Attorney Jessel, I suppose, just elaborate on that, where we were last meeting and kind of where we are now.
Okay, so my charge was to get the local tax relief program to mirror the state program and leave it open so that the council has the ability by resolution to change the income limits and the exemption limits by vote of the town council when the state changes them. So I took our old ordinance, I revamped it to allow us to do that, to make to make the local relief package the same as the state statute. And that's, I think you have the red line version that I did in front of you. There's one additional change that I do want to recommend, and that the Tax Relief Committee accepted as a change that they referred here, and that is on page 2, just underneath, the paragraph just underneath the chart, the second line. It says a resident taxpayer must qualify under the within income range as of December 31 of the prior year. The amounts of qualifying income and the credit amounts as provided in herein. It says shall. I think we should change that to may be changed or adjusted annually by vote of the town council. Because I think the town council needs to have some discretion there whether they want to actually make that change or not, or if they want to do something a little bit different.
So if we didn't want to change it, we would not be obligated to address it. If we just didn't take any action or discussion, then it would just continue as is.
Right, it would stay at the current levels. The levels that are stated in here in the chart are exactly the ones, the most recent ones that have come out from the state.
If I could, I would just want to ask, how is this an improvement over what we have?
Well, if you look at the document that I actually just got, which came from Faith, the tax assessor, in 2022, the town's cost for the state program was $154,000, and for the local program, it was about $99,000. Under this new program, the total, because the local is going to be the same as the state, if you just take the 154 and double it, that's what we're going to be talking about for the state program in round numbers.
308.
We don't know exactly what it's going to be because we don't know who's going to apply, who falls within the income limits, who's already getting so many tax breaks that they don't qualify because they're going to take too much off. But just in raw numbers, if the state program gets us 154,000, the local program should get us something essentially the same.
So that would be, so it'd be a total of 300, over 300,000.
Right.
That would be a benefit for these residents that qualify, is that right?
Absolutely.
So it's the state plus, it's a benefit at the state statute level and a benefit at, and also an additional benefit at the local level, right?
Right, and we've had that right along. We've had the state program is the state program, and that gets done regardless. Our local program was a little different from the state program. Our income limits were different, and the amount of the relief was different. By making it the same, we're essentially just doubling the tax benefit.
Yeah. Yeah, but prior there was a, obviously we did have a tax benefit before, that's that 98,900, that 99,000 you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, so we're just gonna increase that, and that was, I think, the issue last time. We wanted to make sure that those who qualify are gonna definitely not get less of a credit in
Right.
any circumstance.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and if you look at these income limits, these income limits are pretty conservative.
Right.
So if people are living at these income limits, they could certainly use the tax benefit.
Right.
Can I ask, I'm just gonna ask one more question. I don't wanna dominate the conversation, but
You're over your limit.
the minimum, yeah, we got time too, so I'm just talking in the wind right now. So the minimum, if you could elaborate on, I see a column for the maximum tax credit and the minimum tax credit. Can you elaborate on that?
So, I had the same question, and that's how the state does it. And what it is the state tax, and Faith knows this better than I do, but there's a formula that she has to enter everything into. And if you're at the high end of the income limit, you're gonna be at the lower end of the benefit limit. But it's all done formulaically within of the formulas created by the state, and by using the same income limits and exemptions, we can just use that same formula for the locals.
So like, I think what you mean is, for example, like a married couple making 43,801 would get the max credit of 250 probably,
No, that
and then the,
to the next bracket.
and then the 53,400, if they had that, then they would get the minimum. So it's like it's like a.
Yes.
It's like a marginal tax rate kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, and, you know, if you're in between, your tax credit's probably gonna fall in between.
Understood.
It's not an either or.
Through the chair. This may be a question better suited to Faith, but our current formula, since the current chart only has the high end, the limit of tax relief, not a minimum, how does the new formula compare to the existing one?
Well, again, because the formula is the same as the state program, the total tax benefit on our former formulas gave us a tax benefit of $98,000 to $99,000. This should give us a total tax benefit of $154,000. So that's, you know, by way of comparison, I think overall, it's gonna be an increase for most of the people getting a tax benefit.
Somewhere here.
And
Yeah,
again,
and-
the old formula only had one amount. If
And
you
that-
fell
Okay.
within the income limits, you got, so for example, if you were $0 to $14,400, you got a tax break of $743.
Okay, thank you. I was a little confused by limits of tax relief, but it's really that amount.
Chart, and it wasn't revised for many, many years.
Okay, thank you.
And I think that's on page 5 of 6. You'll see the chart there. If that's right, I think so.
Well, that was the old,
I think to see the old one,
The old one is also marked in red on the red line up above the chart that we're putting in.
Okay. I don't know if you see that there, that's the old one. Yeah, I don't know if she
I'm
has
looking
that
at
one
something
though.
that's 4 of 4, so maybe I'm looking at something different than you. But I understood from the explanation, but thank you.
Okay,
I can make the motion for you when you're ready.
yeah. Anything, any other questions on this?
For me.
So we're gonna be replacing, obviously, the existing ordinance.
Correct.
Yeah.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
The red line document deals with Article 5 of Chapter 28.
Oh, yeah, right.
Am I correct to assume that the text for Articles 1 through 4 is going to remain the same?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That's okay. The changes that I'm seeing here are all listed under Article 5 of Chapter 28.
Right.
Will the text of Articles 1 through 4 remain exactly the same? Or are there
Yeah, I
any
wasn't
changes?
taxed with doing anything with those. Those are other more specific taxes, or tax benefits.
Thank you.
And I'll ask another question, and that is, below the new chart, there's a sentence that indicates the maximum tax relief limit shall not exceed a 75% reduction of the total property tax. And I think that probably doesn't apply at all to any of our residents. I'm not sure, but because the maximum credit is $1,000, and I don't know if anyone's house is, whatever
Well,
that might
but,
15.
Keep in mind, I think you could read that as saying if you add the two together and you're getting more than a 75% tax benefit, you're gonna be over the limit.
So that it could be for both the state and the local?
Potentially, but we don't have many properties that are under
Right,
$4,500.
right. And then, we have 15 minutes, I'll ask one more question, and that is, we have nowhere to go, right? Do we have anywhere to go? I just saw that, and I'm just putting things on the record too, for people who want to refer to it. Now, in order to qualify, what would a resident need to do? They'd have to, who do they go see, and what do they have to bring? I think it's outlined here, but if we could talk about that for a minute.
Well, why don't we let Faith do that, because
Sure.
that's in her bailiwick. Come on,
Yeah,
Faith.
please.
So we have brochures.
Sit over here. Is that what's on?
We have the brochures in our office for all types of tax relief. People come in throughout the year and they're available all the time. So the program's February 1st through May 15th. They come in, if they file a tax return, they bring it in. If they don't, and they just get your regular SSI 1099 and don't file any tax, they bring that into us. Sits down, probably takes about 10 minutes, see if they qualify or not.
Okay, and then what do we do with that information? My assumption is we store that securely?
Yes, yep, we store it securely
Okay.
and we report it to the state. Yeah.
Understood. Any other questions?
Through the chair, that's every 2 years, correct?
Yeah, so every other year, the person would apply.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it would be way too many people coming in. It would be over 300 that we'd be looking at annually. So if you do every other year, it's like 150. Yeah.
So you have a bunch of forms to update, I would imagine?
Yep, so it's all in the system, it's all in the computer system, and OPM tells us when we could start entering, and then we could start entering it. And then we have something where we could push and say, do you have a local benefit? And it'll pull over a lot of the income information on everyone, and it'll recalculate. And what'll happen is, if you decide to move forward with this, I have to program the computer to mirror the state.
Right. One more question.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
those dates are February 1st to
May 15th.
May 15th.
You could get an extension through August if you have a doctor's note.
Through August.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So,
And to clarify what Ken was saying, you apply and then it's good for 2 years, right?
yep, we send a letter out, so we'll be sending the letters out probably the first week of February
Okay.
as a reminder to come in.
Any other questions, or? Thank you. Does anyone, do we want to entertain? Do we want to, so we're just, we're not going to take a motion to refer this to the council? Yeah. Does anyone want to make a motion to, with Attorney Jessel's change, changing shall to may, where he indicated earlier, does anyone want to make a motion to refer this to the council?
Yes, sir, if I may.
Okay, so we have a motion to refer it to the council. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, any further discussion or comments on it? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? None opposed, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So-
Very good, thank you.